Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Sunday, January 27th, 2019, and for once we've got a weekend that is A, not pouring rain, and B, not bitterly cold. It's a very mild, sunny day today, temps are in the 40s, so I've decided to come down to this local creek to see if I could catch something. This creek has a lot of different species in it. There's suckers, there's creek chubs, there's sunfish, there's bass, even might be a few trout hanging around. So I'm just gonna see what I can pull out of here. I've got some worms left over from last weekend, so I'm gonna throw those around for a while. So yeah, just kind of a laid back day fishing a local creek, just seeing what's around. Oh, fish off. That was definitely a hit. He took my worm too, dang it. Oh, we got another biter. There we go, fish on. Hey, look at this! Rainbow trout! Whew, that water's cold. Alright. This fish got it way down in there. Alright, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because this isn't a wild fish, this is a stocky, and because this fish is gut hooked, I'm going to take this fish home. I'm going to eat this guy. So let me dispatch of him real quick. Alright, so there we go. Nice winter rainbow trout. That should taste pretty good. Got another biter. Oh, he got me in a snag. Dang it. It's like the first bite I've had here in 2 hours. I don't know if the fish is still on. I can't feel him on there. Yeah, I think this fish is long gone, and all I'm left with is the big B. I think I'm gonna have to break this one off. Yep. Alright everybody, well I've been here for almost 3 hours, and when I say here, I mean not just in this particular spot. I fished downstream a little bit, you know, fished some slower pools and eddies where I thought for sure I'd get some kind of hookup, but there was just nothing going on. This spot right here was the only place where I had any action during the course of the day. I got 3 hits, landed 1, not great, but you know what? That's winter fishing. Sometimes winter fishing is really slow, and sometimes you just got to have muted expectations and just hope that you can make anything at all happen. So I'm just thankful I was able to catch something, put a nice bend in the rod, and you know what? Gonna have a nice trout dinner tonight, so that's a real nice bonus. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure. So instead of ending things there and kind of making it a short video, I decided I was going to try a little catch and cook. So here's our trout, and the first thing we are going to do is we are going to take the guts out. So gutting a fish is actually really easy for those of you who don't know how to do it. It's less messy to do it under running water, so that's what we're going to do here. And what you want to do is you want to take a nice sharp knife and you want to start right here at the vent, which is a polite way of saying butthole. So you start there and you just cut all the way up through the belly. And you want to cut all the way through the neck right here. Alright, and that exposes the entrails. And then what you can do is you can just grab the gills and you can essentially just pull everything out in one shot. So you grab the gills and you just pull it out, and there out comes everything. Just like that. Oh, the heart is left right here. Little trout heart. So that's pretty much the bulk of what you have to pull out of there. But there's also this black line along the spine, and I believe that's the kidneys. And the best way to get rid of that is just to take your thumb, press it down, break through that little membrane that's through there, and you just kind of push your thumb up through there and just kind of push everything out. And grab whatever little bit might be left. Give it a final rinse. And there you go. That's pretty much all you have to do. That is a very clean trout that is ready for the frying pan. Now, another thing I like to do with my trout before I cook it is I like to scale it. You don't necessarily have to scale it, but that's just something I've gotten in the habit of doing. And you can really use any knife to scale it with. They're super easy. They're really small scales, and they come off easy. And again, it's usually easier to do it under running water. So just going to run my knife along here. You want to work against the grain, which is, scraping towards the head of the fish. And that is going to get all of your scales off. Okay, so there is our cleaned, gutted, and scaled trout. And it's essentially ready for cooking. But one thing I do like to do is I usually cut the head off just to make sure it fits in the frying pan well. Again, you don't have to, but it's just something I always do. I don't eat the head anyway, so might as well just take it off. Point of interest, big catfish love trout heads. So if you catch a bunch of trout and you plan on going catfishing, throw these heads in the freezer. You can use them for bait and maybe catch the biggest catfish of your life. Alright, so now that everything's cleaned and ready for the frying pan, we can go with our seasonings. Alright, so before we put our seasonings in, I'm going to score this fish in a few places. It assures even cooking. It won't curl up in the frying pan as much, and it will allow some of those spices to seep into the meat. So you want to give it, 4 or 5 slices on each side. You don't have to cut through the whole fish, just, go down a ½ an inch or so should be plenty. Alright, so now the fish is scored and we're going to add the seasonings. We're going to keep this super simple. So really all I've got is salt, pepper, parsley, and lemon juice. And we're essentially just going to coat the fish with these 4 ingredients on both sides. I use the pre-squeezed lemon juice because I'm lazy. So a little lemon, flip it over, salt, pepper, parsley, and some lemon. And now we want to do the same thing on the inside. tough to hold the fish open while you're doing the pepper mill, but just do the best you can. A little parsley on the inside. And the lemon juice. Alright, there we go. So our fish is seasoned. Now we can get the frying pan ready. Alright, so our frying pan's been heating up on medium heat for a few minutes. So now we're going to throw some butter in there. And you don't want to skimp on the butter either. You want to make sure the bottom of the pan is coated pretty thoroughly. And we're just going to wait for that to melt. Okay, so now that the butter is melted and sizzling a little bit in the bottom of the pan, we can put our fish in. So here we go. Just lay that right in the center of the pan. And you're going to want to give it about at least 7 to 8 minutes on the first side, probably a little less for the second side. But during the course of the cooking, you'll be checking to see for doneness. So we'll let that go for a little bit, and we'll check back in a few minutes. Alright, so it's been about 8 minutes on this one side, so let's flip this fish over and see how it's cooking. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now to test the fish, you want to stick a fork into the thickest part of the fish, which is usually up more towards the head along the back. And you just plunge it in there. And if it separates from the bone, that means it's thoroughly cooked. And this actually looks a little bit undercooked on this side. So we'll cook it on the other side for a few minutes, and then we'll flip it back over to finish cooking. Alright, so it's been about 17 minutes of total cooking time. Fish looks pretty well cooked. I'd rather it be a little bit overcooked than undercooked. But this looks good, so I think we are ready to serve it. It's just a matter of getting this bad boy onto a plate. Alright, there we go. Pour the rest of that butter over top. And there we go. Looks outstanding. Can't wait to try this. Alright guys, got my fish, got my adult beverage. I am ready to dig in. I actually haven't had fresh trout in a long, long time, so I am very, very excited about this. Cheers. Oh, got a fin. That is really, really good. And I purposely kept this recipe simple because trout has its own unique flavor, which I think is really good. And you don't have to do a lot of doctoring to make trout taste good. It's just good on its own. Yeah, that's good. Little bony. I mean, you're going to get a few bones, but you're not going to get a lot if you cook the fish well enough. If the fish is thoroughly cooked, that meat's going to mostly flake off the bone. You won't have to worry about bones all that much. So don't expect me to do many catch and cooks. This was kind of a special thing I just wanted to try out. For two main reasons. One, I'm 99% catch and release, so I'm not going to have many opportunities to do a catch and cook. And second of all, there are a lot of other channels where catch and cook is their thing. They have done it so many times, they've got it down to a science, they can do it so much better than I can. Channels like Fisherman's Life, Elias V, Ace Videos, and those are just the ones that I follow. There's tons and tons of other channels that can do this so much better than I can. So I'm just going to kind of leave that to them and keep on doing my own thing. But this was fun. I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I got to share this simple recipe for stream trout. I've cooked trout this way for years and years and years, and it's still one of my favorite ways to enjoy them. So, you know, if you're into eating fish and you find yourself catching a couple of trout and keeping them, I'd highly recommend trying them this way. It's super easy and it's absolutely delicious. So, thank you all again so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure. That is good. That is good.